G'day, welcome to another big edition of the RDFNL Netball Show. My name's Yeendy. I'm joined by Tara Murray. Tara, we had round one, part one in the bag last week. How did you see it go down?
Well, we only had the two netball matches, so obviously I caught Macedon Riddle. I'm not sure how much you did, which was a really, really good match. And then we had Rupertswood play Wood and Tesket, so that was a good measure to see who was in both of these sides and see where they start the season.
Fantastic. And Macedon Riddle went down to the wire pretty much. It was a pretty close affair.
It was a really, really good game. And a lot of the game, Macedon looked like they were in control, but you look at the scoreboard, early on, Riddle was in front. Riddle kept going. And then later on, Riddle really stood up, and you thought maybe this could go either way. But the Cats stood strong. In the end, they got across the line, winning 58-51. Mm-hmm. They didn't enter the game at full strength. They were missing Janelle Burt, but she was away for the weekend, and Katie Clark broke her toe. So they're missing two of their three main defenders. And then Chloe Wilson wasn't well and only played a quarter and a half, and Carly DeBono only played the first quarter. So an under-strength Cats side, but you've got to give a lot of credit to Riddle. They struggled last year to match it with those top sides, and they've started really, really well. They do have some good inclusions. We knew Lauren Close was back on board as a playing coach, and they've also got Beck Caldwell back on board. So any defender takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work to stop Beck Caldwell, and she was dominant in that goal shooting circle for Riddle.
Fantastic, good positives there. And who was best on court in that game?
You had Ty Coppinger, who is one of the new defenders for Macedon. So she played in the goal defence the whole game and played with a couple of B-grade defenders in goalkeeper, and she did a really, really good job. She got quite a few intercepts and made a lot of contests under the ring, and tried really hard to stop Beck Caldwell, helping her teammates out there, and she's really deserving of best on court.
Rupertswood on the winners list to start 2018 in one of the first games that's sort of been rejigged with a number of teams no longer taking the field in 2018. They headed over to Lansfield on Sunday afternoon to take on Wood End, and I think the credit to the Hawks, I think they showed a lot of fight and spirit on the day. Look,
the Hawks are a very young side, and they're probably 2-3 years from hitting their peak. And I know I was speaking to Kelly Duff, their netball manager, on Saturday. She was out there actually watching Riddle and Macedon, and we were having a good chat, and she said, look, at times it will be tough for them this season because they do have a very young side. So it's about building for the future of them. They've got a lot of young girls coming through, so there'll be good signs. They did sign Tara Burnett from Macedon over the off-season. Tara didn't have an ideal start to the competition, shooting just 6 goals. But
she did. I think she shot over 20 goals in the under-19 that morning, so yep. she had a little bit of practice there, but against good opposition though.
Yeah, and ideally as someone who's played a bit of A-grade netball like you would, you need more than 6 goals from her. Rupertswood on the other side, we were unsure how Rupertswood were going to line up, and
not the best pre-season, it wasn't for them.
No, I think it's been a very up and down and a very late start to the pre-season. You look, most of those players on that side have played before. They've got a couple of new players. Shannon Blackman, who I don't know a lot about, was in there, and probably the other one is Abby Gilmore. So a lot of people know Abby through her social media, and her partner Lee Wellington's playing football for Rupertswood. So Abby's come in, and I think she's played a fair bit of netball throughout her childhood and at a representative level, and she came on in the goal circle for Rupertswood and shot quite a few goals. So she's one new player for them there. Not the results, not unexpected looking at the two teams that they had on the court.
I think Rupertswood can take enormous positives out of that. You've got to start somewhere considering their pre-season, and no doubt they'll only go onwards and upwards. We've got a few big games this weekend. Melton Central's playing host to Rockbank, and Central's under Randy Pereira. They'll be doing really well, and Rockbank, I think they're going to be one of the big improvers in 2018.
Melton Central's is probably one of the most interesting teams entering this season. Randy said they don't know where they fit in. They've always seen themselves, they've always been a finals contender. It's always expectations they might be third, fourth best team. He's unsure because they have lost quite a few players in the off-season. So at this stage, they've only got 2 definites from their starting 7 of their preliminary final team. So you've got Beck Moorabool, who shared the Ryan medal last year.
Yep.
You've got her back, and you've got Jess May back as captain. But how the rest of their side lines up will be very different. They're hoping to get a few games from Sally Portbury and Rachel Doveton. If they can keep those 2 on court, that's massive for them. They have got Mel Laird back, which is in the competition. She's been one of the best defenders in the comp for a number of years. Didn't play last season, and before that had combined VNL and RDNL netball. So to get her back on the court's a massive boost for them. And then you've got Rockbank, who's kept a very similar side to last season. They have added Rebecca Hicks in the goal circle, so I think she's going to provide a bit more of a bigger body in that goal in circle and help provide them with scoring power, which they need this season.
Your tip for this one?
I'm going to go Melton Centrals, but being round one, it's could go either way, and it depends on who Centrals sort of have on the court as well.
Yeah, we'll be quick on this one, but match of the round, I think by the length of the Flemington Straight, we've got Broadford and Wallen, who've got two superstar coaches have joined them this year, and both clubs, they're talking their A-grade netball side up like they're a genuine chance this year, and I believe it. Broadford Wallen, what a game this is going to be at Harley Hammond.
This is the biggest unknown. We do not know. I don't cover either of these teams, which makes it hard as well, but at the same time, neither of these clubs had an A-grade team last season. They're both brand new teams. So how they're going to line up, who's going to be in those sides, how they sort of compare to the rest of the competition, we don't know at this point. They both have signed some really good players. I know Millie Brock's probably the biggest sign in there for Broadford. I know she's had involvement with Ash Chapman before, so they've got that really good partnership. And Millie Brock was dominant in Romsey's grand final win and all their finals performances. So you've got someone like that. And Wallen's put together a really, really good team. Speaking to a couple of the other coaches, they said they are a side to watch as well.
Definitely right. Your tip for this one?
I tip Broadford, but I have got no conviction. I do not know how either of these sides will look on court.
I'm going to back Wallen, despite the fact that President Greg Holcomb did say at the RDFNL launch to me, he said, "Look out, our netball team, our A-grade netball team is going to be up and about." So that's I'm convinced that they're going to be a powerhouse team, but I think Wallen just edge them out in a thriller. Romsey versus Diggers Rest under lights A-grade netball action.
This could be another we've got three very interesting matches. You've got obviously Diggers Rest is now under Pam Strong, and they lost Amy Carroll, Tony Lind, and Natasha Chocolate, but they've added quite a few different players. You've got Annika Shearer, who was part of Lansfield's side last year, interleague defender, plays VNL. You've got Carly Harrison, who was best on court a couple of years ago in Riddle Grand final. You've got Kathy Dicker and Olivia Thomas. So they've added four really good players. I think all four have got VNL experience.
Yep.
So that's going to really add to them. How they go, it'll be interesting to see how they line up and who lines up where. And then you've got Romsey, who are under a new coach. I know they have lost some players. Obviously, Millie Brock's the biggest one going there. I think they may have lost a couple of their other guns. So it'll be interesting to see who they've got on the court. I know they've still got Chelsea Ross is one big there. They picked up Nick Clark from the Sunbury Lions, from what I believe. So they'll still have some class on court. I'm not sure whether Hope Evans is still playing.
She's got a bit of injury concerns at the moment, but we'll see how she gets after that one.
Yeah, if she gets on the court, we all know what Hope can do as well. So they've still got a lot of really, really good players, and how they perform on the court will be interesting to see who is actually in that side.
Your tip for this one?
I've tipped Romsey, but it'll be interesting who they have on the court.
Yeah, I'll back Diggers Rest. You've convinced me. Like hearing what Pam Armstrong's like, having a chat with her earlier on in the year, they're going to be set to have a really big year, as we're going to be set to have a really big weekend as we get ready to wrap up round one. Tara, thanks so much for joining us this week, and we look forward to catching up with you and talking more netball in the future.
Thanks, Adam.